What is good, you guys? Welcome to the Tap In with God podcast. This is your host, Terrence Alexander, which I already knew that. And y'all know what the deal is with the podcast is to help you consider God with your choices because you don't need Givenchy. You need Jesus. All right, y'all. I got a special guest tonight. It's nighttime, y'all, where we're at right now.
Yes,
You guys are
sir.
going to see this on Friday. But yeah, I got a special guest, Matt Maltes, a.k.a. Gator. I've known
Yep.
this man for about 4 or 5 years now. I met him at
Yeah,
CDC.
4 or 5 years. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
I remember the first week of band camp. What do they call it?
Rehearsal camp.
Rehearsal camp.
Yep.
The first time I met Matt, he was like, "Bro, me and you were gonna be locked." Because
Yep.
we were playing in male chorale. I was playing drums. He was playing bass. He's like, "Bro, we're gonna be locked." And I think we've been locked ever since. And they've made me an honorary member of Viper and the Deckhands,
Yes, sir.
a cover band that does '80s music and what else kind of rock and roll,
Classic rock.
classic
We
rock.
we're the premier IE cover band.
The premiere. Okay, look, it's getting to the point where people are hitting them up saying, "Hey, look,
Exactly. Hey, come play for
y'all,
us.
y'all did." So we've done many gigs, just many times of hanging out, and just a good dude overall. Many good conversations. I'm happy to have him. Matt Maltez, everyone, give it up. Give him some love.
Thank you. Love that.
Absolutely, bro.
Good
Absolutely,
stuff.
man. Yep. How you been, man?
Yeah, man, I've been good. Just living the dream, but sometimes the dream isn't mine. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but it is what it is.
it is
So,
what it is. We just got to take it one day at a time, and
yep.
the dream will come eventually. That's all we can.
Oh
That's
yeah,
all we can look forward to. But yeah,
definitely.
man. So today we're gonna talk about keeping the faith. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
So the first question I have is who or what has inspired you to have faith in your lifetime?
Yeah, sure. So, in my lifetime, 25 years old now, 25 years young.
Mm-hmm.
My lifetime, I think, biggest influence of faith, um, as a young age, it's definitely has been my parents.
Mm-hmm.
They've just been, rock solid with me, and always just showing me, telling me like, hey, there's greener pastures on the other side, and there's better, there's better views, there's better life, all that good stuff. And so that was just instilled in me at a young age. But really, what I think elevated that faith in me was, high school, junior high. My youth pastor, he was youth pastor throughout many of those however many years, 6 years. And yeah, great guy, really taught me a lot. That's a Reed Powell. Hopefully he sees this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, that guy really taught me a lot about faith, taught me a lot about like the Bible, and
Mm-hmm.
taught me a lot about like life in general as a whole. And I think one thing that I appreciated the most about him that I don't see all the time is like he was just so personal, like so right up with you, like hey, life is very difficult, but that doesn't mean you have to do that alone.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean you have to walk through this life alone. Like, first of all, there's God that's going to walk it with you, and then there's your peers, and there's your community and your group that's going to be with you too and help you out, and make it all good. So yeah, I think that's just where faith in my life comes from, because yeah, even I've had dark times recently, and I've had dark times before, and recently it's been a little tougher, but before that, yeah, was able to get through any of it, any and all of it. So it's good.
Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like what I mentioned in the episode last week. Having a good solid foundation, having God, and then having good parents that show you
Right.
the way. Those green pastures, the brighter side of the picture, and having that community. I mentioned that in another episode with my friend Tim Santos.
Yep.
Having that community, people to be around you and to say, "Hey, look, we're gonna get through this together." Life is already hard, and it's harder to do it by yourself. So
Yeah,
you really
man.
need some people around you on your side. So.
Yeah, and it's always a roller coaster. It's never steady. And you're so right, man. I saw episode 2, and community is just so important. And I think a lot of people miss that important fact of it. A God fearing community is just stronger than anything.
Mhm.
Like a that verse about iron sharpens iron, but a brother is stronger than a double edged sword. And it's just facts, man. It's just like, yep, that's it right there. So
Yeah. Exactly. Just like you said, it's facts, and that's FAXXXX. Facts. All right.
Like fax machine, you know.
Like a fax machine. Exactly. All right. So here's the next question: Is faith only suitable for aspirations and circumstances, or would you say faith is all purpose?
Yeah, man, I love that question. And I feel like it's very fitting for this season. I don't know, like I don't know if your church is celebrating enough as much as our my church personally, but we've been celebrating Advent a lot and getting very deep in that whole mindset of Advent. You know, like the waiting, and I think a lot of people really miss that point of of the faith, of the history of the church and the Christianity, that between the Old and New Testament, there was just 400 years of no prophecy, no
Mm-hmm.
nothing, no, um, you know, just like just like terrible times, you know.
Yeah.
Like you think about it, like the Roman Empire was taking over, and everything, and truthfully, like you can see that as like a time of like very desperate, of God's people, very desperate time of God's people, where they're sitting there and they're saying, life's not good right now,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just not something that they chose. They're just born into that, they're just born into that. And so, that question is so good, because it is important to have that faith during all that time, because in those 400 years while they're waiting for the Messiah, for the King of Kings, the
Mm-hmm.
Lord of Lords to come and be with them, and as a baby in a manger, which they didn't know, they didn't know that was exactly how it was going to happen. I mean, but you know, when they're waiting for that return of the King, they're sitting there and they're just going like, they're just taking in all this death and turmoil and deconstruction, and just I mean, I look at that, and that has really promised my life, because just of how bad like life has been, just for like the past couple of years. And I'll be honest about that, it's been tough,
Mm-hmm.
and so I look at that and I'm like, man, imagine just spending a whole lifetime in those 400 years gap, just never knowing if the Messiah is coming, never knowing like what's happening. Just you're just basing it off of this faith of the Old Testament, of at that time the Torah, and just trusting that God is still at play, you know, and believing that God is sovereign. I think that's a big thing in someone's life, especially like mine, where life has been crazy lately, and just very challenging and very very difficult to navigate and figure out. And every time something bad happens, I just look myself in the mirror and just you have to say, hey, God's sovereign. God's still in charge. Nothing's changed. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. That is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a changing God. And so, yeah, I think it's so important to have faith, no matter what it constitutes. No matter if you have a good life, you have a bad life, you have a crazy life, you're given the wrong opportunities, you're given the greatest of opportunities. It's just faith is faith. You need to have it, and you need to hold on to it as tough as you can.
Mm-hmm. Nicely said, man. No matter the circumstance, no matter what card you're dealt, you just got to take hold of that faith,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's always best to put your faith and trust in the Lord, and He'll work everything out, man. You just got to be patient, have faith, and see it through every day.
Right.
Just choose the Lord every day, choose faith every day, and
Yeah.
everything will work itself out.
Yeah,
Nicely said,
exactly,
man.
man.
So the last question we have for tonight: There are many earthly and spiritual avenues to put your faith in today. And then I say, why do you feel it is necessary to have faith in God?
For sure. So, yeah, this question's pretty deep, when just taking it on fully. So the thing that I, like, just to be real,
Mm-hmm.
the past 2 years, I'd say about 50% of like the days, have been like bad, negative, tough, difficult, hard to navigate. 35% have just been normal days, kind of okay, normal days. I get through them. and then like 15% has been good,
Mm-hmm.
like very joy filled days, and that's a very different balance compared to like years before that, and so I look at that now, and to answer your question, like there's so many earthly things to dive into, to kind of get away and break from faith. And personally, like I've dealt with that a lot. I've had to just dive in and accept that right now I'm just in a very challenging season. I'm just in a season where things aren't great, and things aren't going like exactly how I planned. And I look at my age and I'm like, I know I'm not old, but I know I'm not 18 anymore either,
Mm-hmm.
and just accepting those things and being like, it's just very hard and difficult and challenging, and like I said, it's just, I think for me personally, something that's so hard and just very challenging that you got to wake up every day and just say like, yeah, God's still in charge,
Mm-hmm.
is just accepting the fact that even though there's bad days, like even though I've had just so many bad times, and then every time I feel like I get just a little bit closer, I take like 5 steps back, and even when that happens, just being like, yeah, God's sovereign, like that's so hard, for me. And there's been many times where I sit there and go, like, what is this? Like, why am I even trying? Like, why keep pushing?
Mm-hmm.
And there's been very, very dark moments where I sit there and just go, I should just give up. I should quit. I should walk away. And that's just being real. That's
Mm-hmm.
just being real as a
Sure.
as a human being, as a guy who sins and who makes mistakes. Like I do that. I look at life, and I look at the joys that other people who live an unholy life get, sometimes. And you're like, that seems so tempting and so tasteful. Like it's the whole Garden of Eden thing that,
Mm-hmm.
you look at it and you're just like, wow, that looks so good. I just want that, But that's just not what's gonna happen every day,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And accepting that and growing from that, and every bad trial is a lesson,
Mm-hmm.
you know every bad trial is a lesson. And I know that these 2 years are shaping me to be the strongest guy that I can be in the future. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the strongest, hopefully future husband for a wife in the future. The strongest, future father to some children, or even a spiritual leader. I know that these 2 years of just hard turmoil, pain, even like going through grief in the holiday season, where we're in right now,
Mm-hmm.
um, dealing with all that, and again, just accepting that this is all a learning process, and that even though like it's just bad after bad after bad after bad, there's still a sovereign God, and this life is only a glimpse. It's a vapor. It's here and then it's gone, and then and really the reward is in heaven. And that's something that we need to live by.
Mm-hmm.
And although I like I said, I'm a man who sins. I'm a man who's tempted by the world a lot. I'm a man who looks at who sees the outside world and sees the joy and happiness that others have, and wish that I could have some of that. But in all reality, that joy is only temporary. The joy and is truly the eternal salvation, of Christ Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it right there.
And I think there's a scripture. I think it's in Psalms where it says, "The joy of the Lord is my strength."
Yep.
And the thing is, you have to put your faith and trust in God, man. It really is the lasting effect. It is the only thing that'll really keep you stabilized, because life is hard, even
Yep.
when you're striving to do the right thing. But,
Yep.
certain things may come up. You really need somebody to hold on to that's bigger, that's better, and that's smarter than you. And just like you said, you don't want to put your hope and trust and faith in certain things that'll give you that kick, that'll give
Yep.
you that high, that'll give you that, whatever it is, that itch you trying to scratch. And then the next morning, it's like, I need it again. And, it's just a repeated cycle.
Yep.
The Lord is here to save us from those cycles. And the Lord is here to help us in every season. Every season, you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
beautifully said, bro, man.
Yeah.
I'm happy to have you on this episode, man. And
For sure.
I know great things are coming ahead. And
Yeah, man.
it just like you said, everything is shaping you.
Yeah.
Everything is intentional, you know what I'm saying? And
Right.
God makes no mistakes. Whatever happens in our lives, that was meant to be. And
Right.
just like Joseph said, he says, "What you meant for evil, the Lord is working out for my good." And that's in any circumstance,
Yeah.
whatever, you know what I'm saying? That can be with friends, family, relationships, whatever happens.
Yeah.
What the devil meant for evil,
Right.
God is making it for my good, and I'm gonna get something out of this. But so,
And it's funny that you bring up Joseph because
uh,
like when I talk to like unbelievers
mm,
or people who are maybe kind of questioning like God and stuff and faith and like a lot of people do and I tell them I remember the story of Joseph and
mm,
I mean I think something we don't understand about Joseph is it wasn't just a couple of chapters, like this was a long period of time
yeah,
where he was going through turmoil, loss of children, loss of land. I mean the list goes on, and you can look at him and just be like, wow, I mean that's a long time. Those are
mm,
long periods, and I know like my life isn't great right now, and but I'm just thankful. I'm
mm,
thankful for breath, and I'm
mm,
thankful for life, and I'm thankful that I can still do things. I'm thankful, for like how me and you sometimes play and I'm thankful for my church,
mm.
and I'm thankful for the community I have there and stuff. But it's a daily choice.
Daily
It's a
choice.
daily choice, and as long as you do that, and to the unbeliever who may be listening or whatnot, I would just like to say, it, it's not going to be easy right away. It probably won't be easy all the time.
Mm,
But the fact of the matter is this life is so much more rewarding and fulfilling than a life without him, you know.
mm,
And no matter how you look at it, no matter what you want to say or whatever, this life living with Christ is much more fulfilling than anything, anything on this planet. So even though there is very tough times, there's always greener pastures, better stuff. Even though we walk through the valley of death, the shadow of death, we're not going to fear evil, and we trust God in this, in this season.
mm. Nicely said, man. Beautifully said, bro.
Beautiful.
Look, man.
I'm a poet, and I just don't know it, dog.
You're a poet. You're a poet. You just don't know it, man. He ain't tapped
Yep,
in with his poet yet, but he tapped in
exactly.
tonight. He tapped in tonight. Look,
Tapping in tonight, yeah.
look. If
Tapping in the
y'all
poetry.
if y'all see Matt come out with a book of poetry, y'all know where it came from. Look. Just send me that 10%.
Sweet lullabies of Gator.
Sweet lullabies of Gator, man. My brother, thank you again, man. Everybody give some love to Matt Maltes, aka Gator.
Sir, thank you.
My brother, man, you already know the deal, man. Y'all know what the deal is. Do good, be wise, trust God. Peace out, y'all.